One of the most powerful tools on our Neural DSP Quad Cortex is a feature that is built into it called scenes. Now, there are a lot of folks who are very well aware of what scenes are and what they do, and they get great use out of them. But I've had some requests to do kind of an in-depth but concise video on exactly what scenes are, and that's exactly what I am going to do today. I'll show you, first of all, what they are, how we can apply them, where they can apply them, what their limitations are, and also kind of give you an idea of how I use them, especially when I'm utilizing neural captures that I have made from some of my amp collection that I have here in the studio. I will also have available today a brand new preset that has 5 neural captures included with it, and it's based on my incredible Fooks OD-Ess classic amp. Anybody who is aware of the Fooks line of amps knows that this is just a spectacular sounding amp. Everything from gorgeous clean to mid gain to even some higher gain tones, which you don't necessarily think of with that amp, but it does it very well. And we can get some of those really cool Dumble-y style tones out of it, along with a wide variety of other tones. So I'll showcase that a little bit today later in the video. The links are below if you wanted to go grab that. Also, don't forget to give me a follow over on Cortex Cloud. My username over there is jsadites. That is JSADITES. Give me a follow over there, and I'll be putting up different tones periodically for you guys to try out. So without further ado, let's dive right over to Cortex Control and take a look and listen and take a look at exactly what scenes can do for us. All right, so here we are over in Cortex Control, and basically I have a blank preset here. Now, first of all, let's start at the top here. You'll see these buttons, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. If we hover over them, you'll see it says Scene A, Scene B, Scene D, undefined, because we really haven't done anything with these yet. But you might be wondering, maybe some people who've utilized Quad Cortex might wonder what these are for. Well, this is how we're going to control and switch between our different scenes. You can see when I switch on it, the screen kind of goes dull for a second and then comes back into the more vibrant, bright look to it. So first things first, what we need to do is add some blocks here. So let's start off by just adding a simple amp. I'm just going to add whatever here. I'm not really trying to dial any tone in. Obviously, with an amp, we would need a cab. I'm just choosing blindly here. This is not about how any of this is going to sound. I just want to show you how you can control things. And let's just go with one more. We really don't need to do that much. Let's just throw in an ambience reverb. So now basically what scenes are going to do is it's going to allow us to control any parameter within not only blocks, but even our input state here with the noise reduction, our output control. You can see I already had that assigned there. I just unassigned it, but I'll show you how we can do that in just a second. So we can control a lot more than what at first maybe meets the eye. So coming to our amp, let's say that we wanted to set up a multi-scene preset that went from like sort of lower gain to higher gain. Again, I haven't chosen this amp for any particular reason. Basically, what we want to do is we want to enable scenes on the parameters that we want to control. So I'll give you an example utilizing gain. The way that we can enable gain to be controlled by scenes is by either right-clicking on it, and you'll see as soon as I do, it says assign to scenes. When I do that, we get this little A, B, C, D pattern here on it. So anytime we come to a parameter and we see this little graphic or image, A, B, C, D with this cross, basically that tells us that that is assigned to scenes. So I can unassign it by right-clicking again and just basically unassign from scenes. Now, the other way we can do it is on the touchscreen on the Quad Cortex itself. If I go over and touch that amp block and long press on any of the parameters, watch the gain control on Cortex Control, I just long pressed it on the Quad Cortex itself. If I want to unassign it, I long press it again. It gives me the option that I have to confirm to unassign it. You'll see that little graphic goes away. So just as easy to do it either on Cortex Control or on our Quad Cortex on the touchscreen. But let's do this. Let's first assign this to scenes. Now, I'm on scene A right now. Let's say I wanted to start off with this at a setting of 2. When I switch to scene B, you'll notice it goes back to 5.5. Let's say I wanted the next one at 4. Scene C to be at 6, and we'll just go up in increments of 2. We'll go up to 8, and then we'll go to scene E, and we'll go all the way up to 10. Now, we could keep going with F, G, and H. What will happen now when I switch between these scenes is you'll notice when I go to scene A, I'm on 2 on the gain, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now you might say, well, great, that's wonderful, but can I do it with other controls? And absolutely you can. I could assign the bass, the mids, the trebles, the presence, the master, the final output. I can have all of these assigned to scenes. And you'll notice on scene A, let's say I wanted more bass And then on scene B, I wanted less bass, and scene C, less bass again, and scene D, even less bass again, and a little mid boost on this one, and cut the mids on scene C. Again, I'm making arbitrary moves here just to illustrate what this can do. So you'll notice now, as I switch through these, all of those parameters are switching in tandem to exactly what I want. So you can see how very powerful this can become. You can take the 1 amp model and have wildly different settings from scene to scene, depending on what my needs are. Now, one thing it cannot do is change this out to a different amplifier, or this out to a different cab, or this out to a different reverb. Once we've assigned the particular block, we can only control the parameters within it. Now, does it just work on amplifiers? Well, of course not. We can go to the cab. I could do something like, I want the dynamic 57 mic blended in on scene A with the ribbon 160, but I'm going to come up to the little on-off switch here and assign it to scenes. And let's say on scene B, I don't want it on. Well, that's now going to toggle on and off. I could come over here and say, I want, and let's unassign that. I want the position of the mic assigned to scenes and the distance assigned to scenes. So on scene A, I want the mic positioned here, but on scene B, I want it positioned here. So now even the position of the mic is something that we can do this with. Let's say I wanted to control the mix of my reverb. I wanted it lower on scene B and higher on scene A. I can do that as well. Now, obviously, if I play this, it's going to sound pretty awful because I'm just making arbitrary adjustments here for demonstration purposes. The other thing we can do is we can also have the on-off state of an effect controlled as well. We can go to the little power button or the bypass button, assign it to scenes, and I could come up here and say, I actually want this turned off on scene A, but turned on scene B. And you'll notice now that the bypass state also can be controlled. We can come out to the multi-out and say, the volume, the final output volume, I want to assign that to scenes. And on scene A, I want it louder. Scene B, I want it a little quieter. Scene, C, maybe we're cranking up our amp model and we've got to balance the volume, so I could do that as well there. So you can really see that it's very powerful in what we can control. I can come over to the input block and I could assign noise reduction, right? So that maybe I don't need as much noise reduction on the first scene because it's a cleaner tone, but as we move through, I want to bump that noise reduction up as well. And we can do just that. You can see how useful this can be. And as we go through, all of those parameters that we've previously set are seamlessly bouncing around. Now you say, well, how do we control this? Well, if we come down to gig view, you'll see here that we have scene, default scene, it's called scene B, scene C, scene D. And we can have the scenes or the stomp mode where we can assign the stomp boxes, but that's a different topic altogether. We can edit the names of these scenes. We could call this clean if we wanted. We could call the second one, push one, push two, let's say, and scene D, overdrive 1 or OD-1, whatever we want to name it. We could call it whatever we want. But as we go through those, you can see now if we come over here and hover, it actually gives those names to it. And we see those names up on our Quad Cortex screen. So that's very cool. Now, another thing is up here are modes configuration. Sorry, that's a little bit off the screen, but if I click that, we can set this up so that we can have its cycle when we hit our two rightmost buttons together. So the top and the bottom button on our Quad Cortex, that's going to scroll through whatever I have set up here. So I can go from scenes to stomps to preset. Now, I don't want the preset. I have it usually set up so that I'm alternating between having my stomp boxes and my scenes. So if I'm here on scene mode, I'm going to have my 8 scenes. I'm hitting the button on the Quad Cortex, right? But if I hit my far 2 buttons, now I'm in stomp mode, and when I press, it's going to turn on or off any stomp assignments I made. Again, that's a different topic altogether. But we can also do a hybrid mode where I take this, drag it on top, right? So now what I'm going to have is 4 stomps along the bottom and 4 scenes across the top. Or I can swap that so that I have 4 scenes along the bottom and 4 stomps along the top. So that's another cool way that we can actually work with that. And again, I can configure this however I want. I can come in here and get rid of that. Again, have, scenes and stomp, which is how I kind of like it and it works really well for me. Now, how do I utilize this within some of my presets? Well, let me show you this latest release that I have, which is the Fooks OD-Ess. Now, this is based off of a series of, as I mentioned, neural captures that I did of my incredible Fooks OD-Ess classic amp. And you'll notice here, if I go to gig view, I have clean, push 1, push 2, OD1, OD2. And as I go through these, you'll notice that it switches between the bypass state of the neural capture. So you'll notice I've assigned the power button or the bypass button of each neural capture to scenes, so that basically on scene A, you'll notice that these neural captures are bypassed. When I switch to scene B, it bypasses the first one and it goes to the Fooks OD-Ess push 1. This is push 2, this is OD1, this is OD2. And as I go through, it will bypass the state of the previous ones and the ones after, but it will activate the particular neural capture that I want. So there's 5 neural captures here. So basically what I can do with now is have these 5 neural captures. Clean. Now if I go to push 1, push 2. So I've set it up as a multi-channel amp utilizing scenes. And lastly, now you notice I have some delay on that. Now if I go over and switch over to my stomp mode, you'll notice down here I can switch between those as well in gig view, and I can turn on and off different effects. Switch between 2 reverbs. If I so desire. So ultimate control over this, and you can foot switch them. On the Quad Cortex itself. So some really cool tones there. I'm really enjoying that particular preset, which I just released. So the link is below to this preset with all of those neural captures. You'll have to go give me a follow on Cortex Cloud under my username, jsadites. Go to my website and grab this, and I will have that delivered to you if you're so inclined. I just want to use this to show you how I can utilize scenes within a preset. And you'll notice even at the end, I can utilize that. I'll come out of gig view to control the final output block to balance. You'll notice that when I was switching between these, all of the different scenes were nicely volume balanced, and I did that also utilizing scenes. So very powerful feature. And I hope that that was something that was useful for you, and I hope I explained that well. I hope I covered everything, but I think that that's enough to get you off and running in the right direction utilizing scenes, and I hope it's something that improves your workflow dramatically. All right, there you have it. What do you guys think? I hope that that was somewhat helpful for anybody who has shied away from using scenes. It's really nothing to be intimidated by, and it is actually something that can make our Quad Cortex that much more powerful. So I would encourage you to go dive in and give them a try if you haven't been using them, and I hope that this was quite helpful. Today I'm going to leave you with the full-blown demo video for my Fooks OD-Ess Ultimate preset, which includes all of the neural captures that you heard a little bit of out of the mix in this video, and I hope you enjoy the music. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like the video, share it with anybody you think would get some use or enjoyment of watching it, and also please subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content out. out. I'll be back really soon with some more. Again, links are below in the description if you want to go grab this new preset and neural capture collection. Thanks again so much for sharing your time with me. Ciao for now.